Hi everybody, welcome back. My name is Stephanie and I am taking you on my language learning journey. I'm watching a lot of travel videos now. I'm watching some folks go from different parts of the country. One girl is moving from her 3-month stay or so in Indonesia over to China. Another girl's moving from Asia over to Eastern Europe and stuff like that. And those are very interesting because they're external travels. What I hope to take you on here is an internal travel into the scary depths of my language learning brain, and that's the goal of this channel. I had a very interesting Twitter conversation with someone this week that reminded me of probably one of the most important things of language learning and things I used to tell my language learning students that I have forgotten in the past few weeks when trying to learn a language myself, and that is calm the hell down. Slow down and enjoy it. Find the joy in it. You're learning a language for a reason. For me, I want to be able to read the things around me. I want to be able to read things online. I want to go on to WeChat, which is really hard to describe to people not in China, but it's sort of like Facebook on steroids on your phone, where you can pay and chat and video chat and phone chat and text chat and do and order food and pretty much anything. It's just the app of truth. But there's a lot of communication ability within that. And if I can maneuver through the Chinese characters to be able to have conversations with folks in the written form on there, I would be so satisfied. It's ridiculous. I mean, that would open up a whole new world in my Asian expat experience that I've never been through before. And and so that is my goal. I do have some very specific goals as well. I want to be able to read the things around me, read some street signs. I have some mobile apps that I'm thinking about developing for other expats, but I feel like I need to have a certain level of language learning before I even pretend to create things to help other people get to a certain level of reading functionality within China and specifically Shanghai. So it's a long, long road, and calming down and remembering the joy of learning is awesome. So the past few days, I've returned to that Chinese writer tracing app that I showed you in a previous video that I will redo. I understand the lighting on that video could not be worse, and I am going to re-record that sooner than later. But the tracing app is severely relaxing to me, and I mean that in the most of positive senses, despite the connotation of severely. The torture of thinking about language too much, it does have a downside, right? So I've gone back to a lot more tracing, a lot less flashcard making. I realized during one of my flashcard making sessions with that beginning physical tracing book that I showed you in the past few videos, like I was sitting in the cafe and I was going over, you know, making flashcard after flashcard. I was doing my 1 page a day that I outlined in my last update video, and it dawned on me, there was absolutely no joy in this. I wasn't adding any visuals, I wasn't adding example sentences, I wasn't really adding meaning, there was no audio, there was no video, like there's no real life connection to a lot of it. And I understand that learning the characters can be really, really tedious, and similar to and I'm going to keep coming back to this because I'm only halfway through with Fluent Forever, but I really believe with what Gabriel Reiner is saying, which is you really have to activate how you learn language the first time and the sensory experience, and if it's not interesting, it's not going to stick. And so I actually took because I bought 2 versions of that physical tracing book, and I was cutting out each row, which had 1 character per row, and putting them on a flashcard. And I had to buy 2 of the books because the front and back pages were there. So for one of the books, I took the front side, made those flashcards, and the back side was ruined. And then the other book, I took the back side. So I put some investment in this, even though it was like a 21 kwai book, which is like $3. Bought twice at $6. So it actually cost about the same as the cookie and coffee that I was having in the cafe, but it was still torturous to give up a goal, because sometimes with language learning, and I don't know, do you guys get like this? I make a goal and I figure out it's not working, but I don't want to abandon the goal because then it feels like I'm giving up on it. And it's not really giving up on it. It's realizing it's not working. And you have to sometimes let go of a goal that's not helping you get to your bigger goal. And so I threw out all of those flashcards. I had about 40 or 50 made, and the two books that went, or at least the ripped out versions of what was left of them, and I threw them out. And I resigned myself to switching over to Anki, which is a spaced repetition app. And you can add, and here's the beautiful part, and a lot of you may know this already if you're studying a language, you can add audio, you can add visuals, you can add full sentences, you can add a lot of things to those flashcards that you can't to the paper ones I was really wanting to carry with me to work when I couldn't have a digital device with me. So much for studying in my downtime at work. Fine, I will study on my own time. I've got plenty of that right now. So I've switched over to Anki. I've just downloaded 100 of the most common radicals, and I'm going to start building up the characters. Probably as of tomorrow, I'll probably start adding 3 or 5 characters per day. The goal is not to necessarily hit a specific number per day, although there is that basic guideline of 3 to 5 a day that I'd like to do, but it's just the constant thing of creating new flashcards all the time. So constantly learning new while reviewing the old. And the beautiful thing about Anki, like I said, it's spaced recognition. Now I've forgotten the phrase. But as you're learning it, depending on how comfortable you are with that, in this case, character, it will either space it out to remind you or to quiz you on it like in 2 days or 4 days or different time frames. And that's something that you can do with paper flashcards and that he does outline in the book, but it is a lot more work, and with all the traveling that I do for work, remembering the right day's flashcards while I'm gone for 3 or 4 days in a suitcase started to seem less and less reasonable, and the advantages of being able to do it in downtime at work were now overshadowed by remembering all kinds of physical flashcards. Just didn't work. Didn't work. So there was a lot of negatives with the flashcards I was making, so I have ditched them. So that is gone from my goals. The 2 videos for the week is still the goal. One is the update video, like what I'm doing now with my current goals, how I've gotten, any successes, things like that. And the second one is some random fun bit about learning the language. And the 4th one is the tracing goal, and I'm going to go nuts on this one. I did 5 rounds of the tracing app yesterday, and I feel like I could do probably double that and be very comfortable and very happy. Like I said, it's sort of a meditative process, and a lot of the times I'm just focusing on the strokes and not so much the meaning. And then as I get faster at the strokes, because it's kind of a timed game with points and all that kind of stuff, so it's gamifying the characters, which is awesome. So as I'm getting faster at the strokes, I can look down at the definition at the bottom, and ultimately I'd like to take those characters and put those words into Anki and review them in 2 places. But that tracing app is also based on HSK levels, and so I'm on HSK 1. I switched smartphones this week though, and so all the familiar ones that I was doing for the past few weeks are gone, and they've given me a completely new one. How would they know from phone to phone, right? I haven't signed up for any paid service on the app. I'm still using the free version. So as far as they know, I'm a completely different person. So I got a completely new set of characters. So it's taken me a while to get the same amount of speed and the same amount of comfort level with the new characters. But yesterday, whoa, this is one of my successes this week, is I got up to about 3,000 level in points, which is about the same comfort level and speed that I was at when I switched phones last week. So it's working, and I'm more comfortable with those characters, and I'm starting to notice them in real life. Yes! Success number 2 is that I was walking down the street yesterday in Shanghai, and I noticed this sign. I jumped up and down, and I took out my camera, and of course my husband's looking at me like, what is going on now? That's okay. I realized that I thought, I wasn't positive, but I thought that the first part of this word or phrase, I'm still not entirely sure of the meaning of every part of this sign, but it looked like the first one was the sign for, or the symbol, the word, the character for walking. And with some initial very, very quick Googling, it looks like it is, but the combination of the first and the second part don't jive with a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing online. So if you speak or read Chinese, please let me know. What does this sign say? I'm guessing it was near a driveway-ish in a commercial area. So I'm guessing it either means don't walk here or only pedestrians here, but it didn't have pedestrian, it had walk. So I don't know, but I was really, really excited to see a character in the wild that I have traced, and I think that's one of the, it's not one of the ones on Anki yet, but it should be, because that walk is I love walking, so that one's going to be a verb that I probably use quite often in my own usage of the language. So that was pretty awesome. And I started to walk around yesterday, and also just every sign and everything that we were passing, I would count the number of characters that looked familiar to me, which I'm sure drove my husband crazy as well. But it was kind of fun. I was hitting about 2 or 3 familiar ones for most signs that we were looking at. Now, familiar meaning I recognize the shape of it, not so much what the meaning is yet. That will come. Again, for me, there's a really big block between the intricacy of the characters and that they include meaning, that they envelop meaning. So my first goal is to relax around them and get past that. And with time, meaning will come. I will also have to drill it into my head, but first I have to get past the anxiety of this not being any way, shape, or form similar to letters. So those are the 2 successes I had this week.